Hi everyone, welcome back. So this is a part two to an earlier video that I made I think a week ago on race play and interracial relationships, and it came at the request of the person who basically started this conversation on race play. He sent me an email which I read off in my video previously, and this is a part two. I find it interesting that people more recently have been asking me to talk about this imbecile named Kevin Samuels. I'm just like, why? Why would I want to give energy to a man who has no respect or value of the black woman? Why? No, I'm not interested. This is more interesting to me. So I do have time to do a video. I'm feeling really excited. I'm feeling really motivated. Today is Wednesday, and time is flying. Like I be telling my clients, like just cherish the moment. Let's just savor the present moment, because we know it. Time is just slipping on away. All right, so I'm going to read off the email, and we'll go from there. He says, so part two of this topic. Now, I have to admit, a little bit of transparency here. When I got this email, I was just a bit disgusted by some of the things that I'm going to read off in this email. But I feel like it's worth sharing with you guys certain aspects of it. And this is just one of the topics that is very high demand. I got another comment on my Facebook page from someone wanting me to talk more about cuckold and the eroticism of it. It's like, why is it such an erotic topic? Like, why is it just has this buzz to it, right? And I'm just like, okay, you guys like it, I'll talk about it. As long as you guys continue to request different topics and request for me to talk about cuckold, I will entertain it, because I find it kind of fascinating. I find a certain aspect of it kind of fascinating. And I don't know if I really shared that aspect with you guys, because I feel like there is a space and time for that. And I also wanted to tell you guys who follow me on YouTube, I actually wanted to ask you guys that. Well, tell you and ask you, okay. So YouTube brought to my attention that I have this thing called membership, where I now can ask my subscribers to become a member of my page with certain perks afforded to you guys. And I wanted to ask you guys this, that what do you guys think? You know, would you guys like for me to talk to you guys about certain special topics, which I've already kind of hinted that I think we need our own special place to talk about certain things freely and uninhibitedly, without people ridiculing us or criticizing us or, you know, attacking us. We could just talk about it just openly. I want that to be a space, but I'm also concerned as to whether or not YouTube will allow it. Granted, it will be members only, right? These videos that I'm going to create in a space for us to be able to talk about these things are going to be for members only. So it's not going to be for the general public on YouTube. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think about that? Feel free to leave your comments below or send me a direct email message. Chime in and let me know, like, what kind of fee would I attach to that? Like, what do you guys think? Because I'm just curious to see how we can make this a safe space, and if YouTube would be a great space for that. He says, I just want to say thank you so much for the video response. It was very informative and kind of shows another perspective. All right. Also notice that I do have a strong accent, and it comes out. I have a southern accent. I'm from the South, you guys. Anybody know anything about the South? Our words just kind of run together. So I try to make an effort, a conscious effort, to kind of slow down when I speak and articulate myself in a way that you guys can understand what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying, but when I watch my videos, I do go back and watch all my videos, I realize, like, damn, maybe people who aren't from the South or who don't have that Southern dialect, like, they are like, what? You gotta go ahead, rewind to get what I'm saying. So I'm aware of this, you guys. Sorry about not being more specific in my last message. Yes, I'm a white man. I know you're a white, but my wife is black. Go figure. You know what would be great? If you guys actually had like a picture. Because you guys see what I look like, right? But you guys send me these anonymous messages, probably behind a made-up screen name, to my email with no picture attached. I don't know what you guys look like. I only can imagine. And I don't like to make assumptions, you know. Sharonda, thank you. You get me, right? But I think that it's just like a cultural thing, you know. You're an African woman, so yeah, you're going to get me. But I feel like sometimes people just don't understand what I'm saying. You're like, what? So I just want to make sure that, because I know my videos do reach a wide audience despite what it looks like on Facebook. But when I do download my videos from Facebook and I upload them to YouTube, they tend to reach a vast array of people, and I just want to make sure that those people can hear what I'm saying. But thanks for your feedback, by the way. I really appreciate you. You seem to be a loyal supporter. So if we ever meet in person, you know, I'm going to give you a heartfelt hug. You from Tennessee? Yeah. I know you say you're from the South. I figured that. There typically aren't that many couples in our group like us. Yes, most of the time the black male or female that is the one doing the dominating. Now, I'm curious to know, what group are you a part of? Are you saying like a specific Fat Life group or what? I want to start my own group in person here in New York. That's something I always just imagine. I just imagine like, okay, of course, buying a house, like a brownstone in Brooklyn, and just like having a special space in my house, in my brownstone, for like private meetings with a group of people who I have developed trusting relationship with, you know, and we can just gather, you know, whenever we are free, and we can just talk about these things, you know. Of course, everything starts with discussion, right? Talking, building those connections, those bonds, and then eventually like having some demonstration parties, you know, and having some fun, like safe, protected fun. That's what I imagine. Like I always just have this like fantasy of doing that, and I'm a firm believer in the manifestation of thought, right? Like if we can think it, believe it, like we manifest it into reality. So I know it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of just bringing it together. And I think that thanks to YouTube, especially with the membership platform, like we can have these private discussions, and I can like weed out the people who are serious against the people who aren't, you know. And you guys can invest. You can invest, like they say, put your money where your mouth at, to show that it's something that you really want to pursue, right? Because I'm for it. I'm down. I'm for it. Or I'm up. That's it. I'm up for it. I'm up for it. It will certainly happen. I believe so too. You said most of the time that black male or female is the one doing the dominating. Yeah. Not surprised. Kind of like a role reversal, right? Given that if within the context of American society, like who typically has the dominant role in society? I mean, it's white. It's Caucasian people, right? So they need a break. And I don't think people understand like the power of submission. When you're always in power, it feels very powerful to let go of that. And when you're the one who has a subservient role or the submissive role, it's empowering to take upon that dominant role. To like, it's just like a balance of, I think, energy and expression and identity, right? Like that's the whole hallmark of humanity, is just seeking balance. I think we're all seeking balance, so it's a beautiful thing. Also, this is mostly a hetero group, though a few do swing the other way. I've seen black men and women dominating the same sex or both at the same time. Excuse me for my ignorance. I am not sure what you mean by hetero. He says hetero. But where are you from? Hetero? Because I never say hetero. I don't even say hetero. I say heterosexual. I spell it on out, you know. Heterosexual, right? Attraction towards members of the opposite sex or gender. Because you can be born a man but identify as a woman, right? So you can have male genitalia. That's your sex. But if you identify yourself as a woman, your gender is a woman. You're a woman, right? You dress like a woman, you act like a woman, you talk like a woman, though you have male genitalia. So your sex is male, but your gender is female, right? And in terms of attraction, what you're attracted to, heterosexual means you're attracted to members of the opposite sex, right? Who have a different genitalia than what you have between your legs, than what you were born with. There are times where a black bull will be having sex with a white woman. Now, this is a part where I was just like, you disgusting prick. Are you saying this because you just want me to say it out loud? You want to hear me say this in a video? Because sometimes people have all kinds of weird fetishes. I know about the fetish world here. I know. I'm well aware. People have all kinds of weird fetishes where they get turned on by the craziest things, you know. I'm just like, I'm not trying to be turning y'all on. I want to turn you on intellectually, stimulate your mind, but, you know, I know the mind is connected to other parts of your body. I get it. But don't be sitting up here trying to use me. Don't be trying to use me as a mechanism for that. Stimulation, like, But I will read this, okay? So he says, there are times where a black bull will be having sex with a white woman, but will ejaculate in our mouth or in our partner. Yo, I wanted to throw up. I'm just like, ew. Ew, because I don't know if y'all know how I feel about oral sex, but I'm not a fan of oral sex on either side, giving or receiving. It's just not my thing. And then to top it off, the ejaculation part, that's so disgusting to me. But okay, to each his own. We all have our thing, right? That's just not my thing. My thing is bondage. I love bondage, right? Like, it's just certain things that turn me on, and just bondage is one of them. I like bondage. I love bondage, but ejaculation, ew. Like, but I'm trying to wonder, like, it makes me curious, like, what is it about, like, some people go crazy about ejaculation, like a person ejaculating in their mouth and they swallow it, and like women and men, especially homosexual men, they go crazy about that, you know. And of course this video, you know, is just for mature audiences only, like no judgment here. That's not the purpose. Just because I may have a distaste for something doesn't mean I'm judging. It's a difference, okay? And if anything, it makes me curious, like, because I even made a video on it, like, are there health benefits to swallowing cum? I made a video on this when I was living in Hollywood, California, so you guys got to go back to, like, 2016, 2017, between 2016 and 2018. I made a video on what are the health benefits of swallowing cum, because I'm curious, because, like, it's a big thing. Like, people crave about it, you know, and I'm just like, why? Ew. I don't know. But they say it matters what a person eats, right? So if they eat healthy, then that will affect how it tastes, right? How the ejaculation tastes. You know, if it has a taste for that matter, if it's salty or if it's neutral, if it has a sweet taste, they say it matters. The diet of the person that you're consuming, their ejaculation, it matters. But I would imagine it does have some benefits to it. They say it does. I mean, it has to because it has semen in it, right? And the semen is what gets women pregnant. So it has to have some health benefits to it. There's life in there. It's a whole life. Just a lot of life just swarming around in the ejaculation. It has to be very powerful. Like, a lot of energy in there. The only benefit I know for sure is not getting pregnant. Oh, of the ejaculation in a woman's mouth or in a person's mouth. Yeah. I think there are health benefits though. I mean, it has to be, right? Comment below if you guys know. I've heard that, it works as a good, like, face moisturizer. Like, it's good for skincare. I don't know. I think that's just sometimes the male ego kind of rationalize things for his own benefit, right? Like, of course it's gonna be good for a woman's skincare, right? Because you just love to see your DNA splattered all over her face. The bull or black female will demand to clean it up out of them. Will demand you, the cuckold white male, to clean it up? He says, I am not gay, but I will role play this just for my wife's satisfaction. So it's a lot here going on. So this is a white male cuckold who allows his white or black wife. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot going on here. We're talking about interracial. It's a whole, like, layers of dynamic here happening all at once. So let me get this straight. This is a white male cuckold married to a black dominant wife. And a black male bull is invited into their relationship. I guess I'm getting confused because he's talking about a number of things all in the same email. So he gave the backdrop of him being a white male, having a black wife. But then he also talks about there are times, I guess in the group he's speaking like in third person to say that, yeah, there are times where a black bull will be having sex with a white woman, da-da-da-da. But how does that relate to you? That's where I guess I got confused. Okay, because I'm a concrete thinker, like, I've already been diagnosed already, like, by my former supervisor. She said, oh, you're a concrete thinker. Like, no, duh, I already knew that about myself, right? I know myself. Like, my mind, it's very concrete. And men have been said to be concrete thinkers. And women are said to be abstract thinkers. I'm like, that's just so black and white. I don't think it's that cut and dry. But I think very analytically, right? And I think in terms of like facts and things have to be laid out, spelled out, made clear. Because I just want to make sure I have the information correct, because you never want to assume. He says, I'm not gay, but I will role play this just for my wife's satisfaction. So a little more about verbalizing and race play. That being said, my wife is black. She likes to call me cracker in other terms. I'm laughing because, okay, y'all know I'm from the South. And in the South, like, cracker is supposed to be a racial term, but it's not even a slur. It's just a term, right? It's not offensive. Like, white people don't take offense to being called cracker in the South. It's almost like it's a term of, like, endearment or empowerment if a black person calls a white person cracker, because historically, that's what they were. White slave masters were crackers, meaning they cracked that whip against the back of a freaking black African slave, right? That's where they get the term cracker. So for a black person to be like, oh, you cracker, that's not, how is that offensive? Like, okay, I'm a master. Okay, I'm a master with the whip, all right? Like, how is that offensive, right? But I get it, I get it in terms of the dichotomy between cracker versus nigger, which will be the opposite of cracker. And this video is for educational purposes. YouTube, because they be so quick, yo. So I think a lot of black people get off on saying the word cracker because that's how they that's how they refer to white people in the South. They look at them like they crackers. You're a cracker. I think just generationally speaking, like, you know, it's just been passed down through the generations, right? I am not offended by them, but still, it's kind of weird that she or someone else wants me to say it or her to say it. Say what? That's why I get confused. Because you said that she likes to call you cracker. But it's weird that she or someone else wants you to say it. Say what to her? I thought she's the one calling you cracker. So, say what? Are you saying for you to say the opposite of cracker? Nigger? To call her a nigger? You gotta be this is where the concrete comes in. You gotta be specific here, okay? I guess from what you said in your video, it makes sense about redefining a word to make it into something else. Maybe he's just saying it abstractly because he feels like I already have the context because we talked about this in part 1, which we were talking about the use of the word nigga and how some people do get turned on by or turned off by people outside my freaking window talking shit or being loud while making a video. God damn, go. Just loud with it. This is New York. Excuse me, you guys. Yeah, that's why I'm confused, Sean. I'm like, what are you saying here? But I think that's what he's talking about in terms of what we talked about in part 1 about the whole idea of people, like black people being turned on by being called nigga, you know, by white people, you know, that whole race play. The race is race play. That's what it is, you know, just like rape play, but it's race. You know, the dynamic between white people and black people in these kinds of relationships, alternative relationships. And I think, yeah, people do get turned on. And I think it is kind of ingrained in our genetics, our DNA. We're socialized. So from a social aspect, yeah, it's like we've learned this, but at the same time, like it's a part of who we are. You know, on a genetic level, on a cellular level, I think, right? I think that's just what it is. So it's hard to, I think it's hard to undo, right? When we think of like conditioning, how our minds are shaped, how like our behavior is shaped. It's shaped through socialization, but it's also shaped biologically too. When you talk to a person who studies biology, you talk to people who study medicine, like they will attribute most behavior, if not 99% of behavior, can be traced biologically, you know, or on to the cellular level. So I think that, yes, in our DNA, and I think it makes sense, you know, epigenetically speaking, in terms of how our environment, nurture, interacts with our biology, nature, over time. When maybe prior to the transatlantic slave trade, it may have not been a thing for black people to be turned on by being called nigga. But yeah, coming from that bloodline, epigenetically, the descendants of those slaves, even though, yeah, it's a part of us, right? Because it was like many different parts of self, right? Self is just not one faceted, right? We're multifaceted people within one person. So a person can hate the word nigga, but also love the word nigga at the same time. And love the way it makes them feel when we're called nigga. And love the way it makes them feel when they are subjugated, when they are dominated. When I say they, being a black person, being dominated by a white person. It's almost like their genes are being activated. They're like taking back historically to a point where they were cradled in the arms of their slave master, who yes, abused them, but at the same time took care of them. So the mind is fascinating. This is why I went into psychology, because the mind is fascinating. And people wonder why do domestic violence victims stay with their abuser? It's a syndrome for that. But I think even beyond the syndrome, it's just on a genetic level. It's hard, for on a biological level for us to make that differentiation. Like, we can't do that cognitively, right, on a conscious level. But you can't argue, you can't wrestle with nature, right? That's like an internal struggle that you're dealing with on the inside, because you're fighting against yourself. You're fighting against the programming, the genetic wiring of your body, and the memories that have been ingrained throughout your systems within your body. So it goes deep. I looked into what you were talking about, genetics and trauma. I've never heard about that before until now. Yeah, man, you gotta look at you gotta study the intersection. That's why no field of study really stands on its own feet. It's intertwined. We can't talk about psychology without talking about the neurobiological aspects of behavior. It's all interconnected. The chemistry, like, you begin to, like, it's interdisciplinary. That's why there are teams of people from different professions working together to treat an individual, because we're a whole person with many different parts, and there's many different ways to conceptualize what's happening within an individual person. There's many different ways to treat that person too. And so it requires a diverse set of disciplines and fields of study. We're complex. That speaks to the complexity of who we are and our nature as human beings. It's fascinating. You can't just reduce it to behaviorism. Some people are just so pure behaviorism. It's just like, it's not that simple. We're not that simple of people. It's more complex than reward and punishment to change human behavior. We gotta know that to be true. It's a big piece of the puzzle. It's many different pieces of the puzzle that are intertwined. That's why we all gotta work together. The psychologists, psychiatrists, the neurologists, the chemists, the biologists, we all come together to understand human life. He says, I am not sure though where being humiliated and verbalized negatively brings satisfaction to me. You like to be humiliated and verbalized negatively. You like people to talk shit to you. But I think it's not just talking shit, because sometimes people misinterpret what that means. Like, when I come across so-called doms and I tell them that I'm submissive, and they just think that I like to be called a bitch, and it's just like, no, there are many different flavors to masochism, and it's just not about being demeaned or disrespected. It's really about the power exchange. I think words are the mechanism by which that power is exchanged and results in a certain feeling that is triggered within us when that power is exchanged, right? Words are a tool. It's a mechanism. He said, does it bring satisfaction to her? He said it could be just, okay, a lot of typos here. It could be that it just brings satisfaction to my wife, and I like to see her satisfied. So there answers your question. I think sometimes when people like write, right? Because he's basically doing like a word salad. He is just expressing himself in words in an email, and I'm pretty sure you probably didn't read it. It's like unfiltered expression. It's helpful, I think, because sometimes through that process we begin to solve our own questions. By just expressing ourselves. That's the hallmark of Rogerian therapy. Carl Rogers. He's an important figure in psychology. Yeah, just through that expression, we begin to understand. So I think he kind of answered his own question by saying that, yeah, he likes to see his wife satisfied. And so, it makes him satisfied to see her satisfied, because her humiliating him brings her satisfaction, or it makes her feel empowered. I think a lot of things are just traced back to power and control. Like, if you talk to me, because I like to have intellectual conversations with people, right? And oftentimes, if you notice like a pattern in my way of thinking and rationalizing things and explaining things, you'll see that I usually kind of bring everything back to power and control. A lot of things are rooted in power and control. Yeah. That's my theory. Power is about power and control. People just want to feel empowered and be in control. And that's what brings her satisfaction. This lifestyle has had ups and downs. We don't regret it at all. However, there is one thing that has oddly brought me the most satisfaction, but has also caused my wife a lot of stress and discomfort in her life. See, this is where I be thinking they be fabricating stories and making things up. Because he says, a year into this lifestyle, my wife found out she was pregnant. Why did I... Yo, never mind me. I have a weird sense of humor. Sometimes it's a bit dark. But that's funny to me. Sometimes we gotta laugh at life, yo. We gotta laugh at ourselves. Oftentimes we try to play the victim role, but we not the victim. Like, you chose this, bruh. You did this to yourself. Come on now. We are the author of our own lives. Believe it or not, we have more power than what we think we have. A year into this, okay, so I gotta go back. This is fun. You say, we don't regret it at all. However, there is one thing that's oddly brought me the most satisfaction, but has also caused my wife a lot of stress and discomfort in her life. A year into this lifestyle, my wife found out she was pregnant. She was pregnant, or we were pregnant, right? Interesting choice of words here. Interesting. She was pregnant? Or y'all were pregnant? After some time, we figured out my child wasn't mine. Sometime throughout us doing this, she got pregnant. I love my wife, and even though I know our first child isn't mine genetically, I still love him as my own. So was your wife doing it for you? I mean, how would it bring her such discomfort? Like, I want to ask, like, how old are you guys? Come on now. But seriously, say, what? Now this kid's like, if you have sex unprotected, come on now. What do you expect to happen? What are you expecting? It's like sometime throughout us doing this, she got pregnant. Oh my God. She got pregnant. It is amazing. She got pregnant. We wasn't planning her to get pregnant. You wasn't planning on not getting pregnant either. I love my wife, and even though I know our first child isn't mine genetically, I still love him as my own. That's sweet. All right, all right. Is it weird or abnormal that I have the satisfaction that I know my child isn't mine? I mean, what about her, though? Let's go back to her feeling a lot of stress and discomfort. Why? Why would she feel stress and discomfort getting pregnant by a bull that you guys both agreed to bring in your relationship? I mean, I'm pretty sure, like they say, he knocked the Mario coins out that goddamn pussy, yo. So, I mean, that's the whole point, right? To bring in a black bull to do something that you clearly wasn't capable of doing. And not only did he knock the Mario coins out that pussy, he put something up in that belly, yo. I mean, big deal. The child is a gift, right? It's a testimony to your experiences. Like, at least you have something to talk about. Like, it's like show and tell in kindergarten. It's just like, bring it in and you show everyone, like, look at our child. Look what came of this whole situation. How was that a bad thing? Why does she feel stress and discomfort? Like, Sharonda laughed. I mean, it's funny to me. It's just like, I don't get it. Even if she was on birth control, right? Let's say you did plan not to have a child. It's like, you really think birth control can defeat nature? If it's meant for you to have a child, you're going to have a child. It's destined to happen. Like, I don't know why we think we can defeat nature, y'all. Birth control pills are man-made, y'all. Even the shit they be putting up in women, whatever you call that, IUD, whatever shit. That's, I don't know, that's diabolical if you ask me, but it's just like, come on. They even had like memes with to show like a baby holding the IUD. Just goes to show, like, nature, come on. Nature is going to grab a hold of that birth control and say, you're right. That baby was meant to be, yo. So, embrace it. Seems like he likes it. No, it's not weird. I mean, that is not your child. No, it's like, I think it's more like a trophy. I'm trying to immerse myself in the mind of a cocoa white man, right? It's like a trophy that you can show off, you know, because she wouldn't have slept with that man had you not given her permission to. Now, I did mention how there are different types of cuckold men. Some men become cuckold like by proxy, like, oh shit, you know, my wife is cheating on me and fucking other men. And you just decide to accept it and stay in that kind of situation because I love my wife so much that I don't love myself or respect myself in that way, right? So you stay and you become cuckold by default. But then there are men who choose on purpose, choose his lifestyle and say, yeah, I want to do this, you know, not by accident, on purpose. I want to be a cuckold. And yes, I want you to fuck other men or other men to fuck you, however you look at it, right? Either way, I feel like every adult has the right to choose. Like, everybody has a choice in the matter, you know? To pretend like you don't, you have a choice in the matter. How can your wife be in distress? She got pregnant by the bull. Alright. Is it more so because she couldn't get pregnant from you? But she got pregnant by the bull? Like, I wonder what is really causing the distress. Did you mention that you guys have a child together? But anyway, back to the idea of, this being a trophy. Yes, I think it's a trophy for you. My wife is darker skinned than most other women, but she still thinks her side knows the truth. My family, I believe, doesn't know. My second, that is mine, is just a little lighter than the first. Is it yours or is it both of yours? Is it ours, like you and your wife? You said that my second child, that is mine. Is it just your child or is it you and your wife's child? I don't know. It's a bit confusing here. Just a little lighter than the first, but have features more of her mother. So it's yours. Just say my second child, which is our child, which is what you should have said. Our child, the child that me and my wife created. This is our child, biological child. Have features of the mother. Is this weird? I have this satisfaction. Do you think it's a problem I had that something in the past has caused this type of satisfaction? Now you want to go psychodynamic. You want to go Freudian. That the child isn't yours. You have a satisfaction that a child came from your wife that another man helped create. It brings you satisfaction. Does it? Does it really bring you satisfaction? Sometimes people can be in denial of their own feelings too. That's what I want to make sure first before we even go with the idea that it brings you satisfaction, to uncover why you get satisfaction from it. Because we gotta check to make sure the satisfaction that you're claiming is legit, or is it really a defense because you're just in denial, repressing how you really feel about it. People do that oftentimes. They kind of use this reverse psychology in a way. Not on me, you can't use it on me, but you're doing it on yourself, trying to uncover the true reality of the situation. Do you truly feel satisfied? If you're a true cuckold who really gains satisfaction by seeing another man fuck your wife, then of course it's going to bring you satisfaction to see the outcome of that. The manifestation, like the physical it's one thing, okay, to see, to actually witness a man have sex with your wife that only you gave permission for, because if you didn't allow it, that would not be happening before your eyes. It would not, right? But you consented to it, which means you have a sense of power in that situation. It's almost likened to the idea, I ain't trying to call you no pimp, bruh, but I'm just saying though, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of likened to the idea of like a pimp, and some tricks, right? Now, of course, the pimp is doing it for monetary gain, but when you think about it in terms of power, like gaining power in that situation, for a pimp to be in control, like the pimp is in control, right? He picks, he controls, he dictates the whole situation. He can shut it all down if he wanted to, right? But it's up to him who she sleeps with. You know what I'm saying? Who gets to lay hands on her? If a man can lay hand on her on a particular night or not. Who and how many, right? And you gain satisfaction from that. Because she's like your property in that sense. I think it makes complete sense to me. You own her. And to see her pregnant by a man that you pretty much chose to fuck her. Like, It's your choice. You have a choice in the matter. And she gets pregnant. And maybe to see her in distress, perhaps part of your satisfaction is seeing her in distress. Because she becomes now the weakling. Yeah. She's now more dependent upon you. You have the upper hand in that situation. So it can give you a sense of power in that dynamic. It's not too much different. You go back several hundred years to the slave. You know, the slave and the master. And how the master bred the slaves. It's like you bred her. You say you're a white man, right? In this email, and she's a black woman as your wife. You bred her. You bred her with another black man, slave, and the outcome of that was a black baby. It's a darker skinned baby, right? Right, or you say that the first baby that came out is darker than the second one, but you know the second one you say is yours. Either way it goes, you're in the breeding business, you know? And yeah, breeding is a fetish. People get turned on by breeding. That wasn't necessarily interracial breeding that you did, that you guys did. She takes responsibility in that too. If this scenario is real, you could just be like doing it for fun entertainment. That's cool, you know. I'm a writer myself, so I deal in the fictional world myself. You know, I have an imagination, so that's cool. If this is a part fictional story. But it makes sense, I think, when you conceptualize it in that perspective. Yeah. I think the part about, there's a mistake happen. And cause there ain't no mistake. I just find it funny people like mistake. It's a mistake. Come on. She agreed to it, right? This is all consensual. She agreed to participate in cuckold activities, and a baby came from it. The baby lives with you guys, right? Like, it's in your custody, I would imagine, right? Like, you and your wife live together under the same roof, and the baby that came from that cuckold relationship with the bull that was brought in, the black bull, lives with you guys, right? All right. Happy family. I think you can turn a lot of heads, though. It's just like, oh, why is that baby darker than the other baby, the second baby that carries your DNA? Maybe you get satisfaction with the black baby not ever knowing his father. Is the father, the bull, present? I mean, a lot of questions here, right? Is the bull present? Is he active? Is he? I mean, it's no surprise that she would get pregnant, though. That can't be a surprise, right? So why is she such in distress? On that note, I gotta end this. You say she may still be in that relationship with the bull, but the bull is, I mean, if it's all consensual, the bull came by permission of the white male husband. So it was not like she was doing it behind his back. We have a lot of unanswered questions here that maybe he will be willing to address in his next email, if he chooses to send an email. On that note, thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free to share your thoughts below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.